Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris back again. Today we're talking about Body Slam from 1986, directed by Hal Needham. Needham. Needham to make a good movie. Anyway, Body Slam. Let's talk about it, right? This movie's got Roddy Piper, the Tonga Kid, Ric Flair, Lou Albana, the Barbarian. Pretty much all your wrestling heroes from the 1980s, are in this film. Except for, the immortal Hulk Hogan brother. He's not in this. But, we got Piper, who I think is probably uh second greatest wrestling actor ever. Uh, but we got him in there, and basically this is about a guy, a music executive. He's kind of upside down on some stuff in his life, and he needs a new outlet to make money. And so he becomes a wrestling manager. He picks up Roddy Piper, and he picks up the Tonga Kid. Uh, and, so he's there. He is their manager. He's trying to get them like a championship title match. He's trying to represent other wrestlers in the business, in the local gym and whatnot. And really, it's just a funny comedy. And, it takes place around the same time as the Rock and Wrestling Connection, with Cyndi Lauper and Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, all that kind of stuff. It takes place around that same time, and you can really feel the spirit of that era in this film because all the different wrestlers and musicians of the time. The band Kicks is in the movie. They're like one of the premier uh, entertainers, I guess. I couldn't think of the word I was looking for there. But yeah, so Kicks is in it, and we got all these different wrestlers. We have Barry Gordon, who plays the voice of Donatello in the 1980s Ninja Turtle show. He plays Shelton Berkmeister or something like that, Brokemeister. He plays one of the characters in it, and as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, hold on, I know who that is. I've heard that voice before. And so I went and looked him up, and sure enough, I was like, that's my boy Donnie from TMNT. Okay. I grew up listening to that voice. I should know it very well. Um, Overall, this was a fun movie. It's got Tanya Roberts in it as the love interest. I didn't think she looked as good in this as she has in like uh the movie where she's like the princess of the jungle or whatever. Sheena, I think that's her name. I think that's the movie. She's not as beautiful in this as she is in that, and say Beastmaster or something. I don't know. I say that like I'm one to judge beauty or anything, but she just didn't. I don't know. She didn't look as I say healthy. Maybe that's the right word. She didn't look as healthy in this as she did in other films, but she was still good in it. I mean, she didn't have a big role. Again, she was the love interest. She was the smoke show. She was the eye candy for all the dudes that were watching the movie, you know, just like the wrestlers were the eye candy for the ladies. Uh, but man, I just really liked it. And if you're a fan of pro wrestling, you will definitely dig this film. In fact, I'm a big fan of the Jim Cornette experience and the Jim Cornette drive through. And, I think Jim Cornette and Brian Last were actually talking about this film a couple months ago, maybe, and I found it streaming on Prime, and I thought to myself, you know, why not check it out? I heard them talking about it, so I gave it a look. And another friend of mine, Nick, he checked it out before me. He had seen it before when he was a youngster. This was my first time watch, and I don't want to say it blew me away, but I was highly entertained. I loved the comedy of it. I loved the wrestling aspect of it because let's face it, back then wrestling was still in kayfabe. All right, and for anybody who doesn't know what kayfabe is, that just means that the business was protected. We all know that it's scripted and choreographed now, and the outcomes are predetermined. But back then, people didn't know that. People didn't know that Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant were going back and having a couple beers at the bar after their match. They thought they hated each other, kind of thing. So people, and people would jump the rails and try to beat up the bad guys, kind of thing. So this is keeping the business protected. It wasn't like over the top, like showing, okay, well, Roddy Piper is friends with the Tonga Kid and they go and hang out afterwards. I mean, in this movie, they were, of course, but in real life, they were they were nemesis. There we go. In the wrestling business, they were rivals, but in this movie, they came together as friends, but they were rivals years before. But the business, they kept it protected where things weren't stupid looking. Nothing looked predetermined. They weren't like, they didn't make a movie about them backstage, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm a long way around. They didn't make a movie showing what goes on behind the scenes. They made a movie to keep wrestling as real as possible, but add a little bit of comic flair and a little bit of, I guess, exaggerated story to make a pretty decent wrestling film. And for 1986, I mean, this isn't a good movie. Let's just make that clear. This isn't a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's not well written. It's got some kind of comedy that's hit or miss. It's got, I guess, boy comedy, mature comedy, fart jokes and stuff kind of comedy. It's got that kind of stuff. But what I really liked was the fact that it was a movie about wrestling that kept wrestling sacred, if that makes sense to anyone. I'm a big wrestling fan, and back in the day, I was a mark, man. I was into it. I thought that was real as real could get. Like, I thought it was real fighting back in the 80s, right? When I'm growing up and I'm watching Hulk Hogan and the Giant, and they're wrestling in WCW and the Giant breaks Hulk Hogan's neck, I run to the next room, tell my parents, "Oh my God, look what they did to Hulk Hogan." I thought it was real. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that this movie was able to keep, if I would have seen it back then, I would have still thought it was real, kind of thing. The fact that it was able to keep the kayfabe up, not expose the business, not trash it or make it look silly or make it look phony. They kept it legit, and for that, I respect the hell out of Hal Needham and all the guys that were in the film. I mean, I guess Hal Needham really couldn't expose the business when you got like 50 wrestlers on set, and they're like, "Hey, what'd you say, boy?" And then they pick him up and backbreaker him. You know what I mean? I mean, a real wrestler open hand slaps you in the head, your eyes gonna swell up. Power slap league. But anyway, so I really liked Body Slam, guys. My first time watch, it was awesome. I dug it. It was three out of 5 stars. Great comedy. It's really cool to see all of your, wrestling idols back in their heyday. I mean, we got a lot of the old guys still around today, like Hogan and Flair and a few of them, but to see those guys like back then really giving a comedic performance in a kind of oddball comedy wrestling movie, I really dug it, and I respect what they did there. I dug it, and I'm glad that I finally watched it. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. You can find it streaming on Amazon Prime Video if you're interested in checking it out. I highly recommend it. But that's it for Body Slam, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to get connected with more stuff, please like, subscribe, click for the notifications. Check me out on Facebook at Cinema Dolce, Facebook group, and find me on TikTok at Cinema Dolce so you can get more content. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Peace out. God bless, and have a great day.
Man.